So hold on, let me send it to my page. You can share it to your page if you want. It should be live now.
Let me see. Let's share this.
Are you gonna teach me some Portuguese? I mean, not Portuguese. I don't want to learn Portuguese. I don't know why I said that.
You're gonna have to. You're gonna have to for this one. You're gonna have to. Boa tarde. Boa tarde.
I know boa tarde.
Boa tarde. Boa
I
tarde.
know boa tarde. I know obrigada.
Obrigado. Obrigado. Obrigado for yeah, obrigado.
And I know what else do I know? Oh, tudo bem. Like
tudo bem. Tudo bem. No, we're gonna have to if you're talking about capoeira, we're gonna have to, because we Africans contributed a lot for the Portuguese language. There's more than 200 African words within Brazilian Portuguese.
Really?
Too many.
Well, so I really want to. Okay, so but teach me a Bantu word. Like teach me a word from a Bantu language.
For this occasion, we are talking about. I'll say nguzu, força, strength.
Nguzu.
Nguzu. And in my language, you change the Z to S. So ngusu.
Ngusu.
Yeah, ngusu. Kimbundu is nguzu. But nguzu is fine. It's fine. I grew up in Rwanda and people speak Kimbundu in Rwanda. It's fine. Nguzu is fine.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dr. Ifeataya Ojelade, and this is going to be a good conversation. I am hanging out in Muskogee territory, which is also known as Atlanta, Georgia, and my brother is hanging out in Lisbon, Portugal. And this is my brother, Kandimba. He is an Angolan, and he is from the Ovumbundu ethnic group. I think I said that right. I know it's got my Black American accent on it. And he has been a capoeira instructor for like over 20 years, right?
Since 1998.
1998. Okay, so that's been a minute. Like I started my meditation practice in 97. So okay, so we're kind of like winning these new ventures. And I think that this is really important because capoeira, at least in the United States, and I know in Brazil, has been really, really popular. And I would always hear this term of Capoeira Angola, and people would have all these kind of conversations and be excited about capoeira. And when I met Kandimba, I was really excited just to hear him talk about it a little bit. And so I wanted to just have this conversation today. So thank you for coming and hanging out with me.
Yeah, thank you, Sister Ife, for inviting me once again. I think it's my third time.
Is it? Okay, we've been talking that much.
Yeah, we have a lot of things. I'm still waiting for the next invitation, but there's something else to talk about. Making the African or Black Portuguese connection to the African Americans. Great.
Yeah, that's good. Can you start out by telling us, just for people that don't know, like me, I've never taken a capoeira course. I just heard the term. Tell us a little bit about what capoeira is and a little bit about the history.
Yeah. Just before that, I'm not really in Lisbon. I'm in near. I don't know. You call this Greater Lisbon, right? Greater is. We call some places New York Greater New York. Is it Greater or Great? I forgot the word.
Greater, or like, is it kind of a metro area that you're in?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
So it might be like a metro area. Yeah.
I live in a city called Seixal, and it's by ferry. It's about 20 minutes from the center of Lisbon. So people really think it's Lisbon, but it isn't. It was. Back in the days, it was part of it used to belong to Lisbon, but not anymore. But doesn't really matter. Thank you very much. So the city is Seixal. It's a lot of African people here in the last 20 years now, 20, 30 years. So yeah, once again, thank you for the invitation. Capoeira. I started Capoeira in 1994 to 1995 in Manhattan. I was already obviously in New York. I went to New York young. I was about, that was around 1989 to study. My father was already working in New York. So I started capoeira between 1994 and 1995. My older brother took me to the academy. I saw the group, Mestre João Grande's group. Mestre João Grande is a master from Bahia. He was born in 1933. Oh, he's 80 something years old. He's an old man, still in New York teaching in Manhattan. But anyway, so in 94, I saw him. My brother took him to Central Park and they were practicing. They were playing. And it kind of blew me away because I only knew, even though I'm from Angola, I only knew one style of capoeira. I knew the most popular style of capoeira. And what what these guys were playing was what in Brazil is called Capoeira Angola. Why Capoeira Angola? Well, there is a modern capoeira that comes out that becomes extremely popular around the 60s and the 70s, even though it was a little older, becomes very popular. And in many cases, it's a mix of other martial arts. Capoeira Angola is called Capoeira Angola because it is said by the masters, old masters, that it's the old version of capoeira. So it would be the closest to whatever came from Africa. And most people back then were from that area, Angola. I was, yeah. When I realized that I was, that I could be a part of that group in New York. It's like, I was in Angola, then I spent some time in Portugal. Now I'm in the States, and I find capoeira. It's kind of strange. I loved it, and the master was already old to me. Told me, why don't you join the group? I said, well, you know what? I've been to other. I was looking forward to do some martial arts. Martial arts is very not only popular, but it's very much practiced within my family. My older brothers, everybody was already into martial arts, not African martial arts, but Asian martial arts in Angola. So there's a tradition in the family of everybody doing martial arts. It just became now it's something natural to the whole family, for the whole family. So I told him that I was visiting some academies, and I ran into another capoeira academy. What's the name of this? His name, the teacher's name is Ombrinho, guy originally from Israel, in New York. This was in the 90s. And I'd gone to his academy and I liked it. And so I started visiting his academy and Master's academy. Master is my master, my master. He wasn't my master. I was very undecided. I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. My master told me, you're Angolan. What do you mean you don't know? What do you mean? You're Angolan. You have to take Capoeira Angola classes. The master of my master was an old man from Angola. That's the history of our Capoeira group. So my master's master was an African from in Bahia, in Salvador.
What ethnic group does Capoeira Angola come from?
Yeah, I'm gonna get there.
Okay. Go ahead.
My research as well. So anyway, I went to visit both academies. I visited the academy several times. My master told me, you have to start. Again, he wasn't my master yet. You have to practice Capoeira Angola. This is the original style. This is what the Africans taught us. So you're an African, and you have to do it. And the other guy, which was teaching a more popular capoeira, more flashy, the stuff that you see in the movies. And when you're young, you get all excited about that. You want to see people flying and stuff like that. The guy wasn't so nice. He said, if I told him, I'm not really sure. I'm still thinking. I might start doing both. And then I decided, said, no, no, no. If you're going to take my classes, you're not going to go someplace else. But he said in a very rude way. I was like, oh, what? That wasn't very nice. Anyway, I went home. I thought about it, and then I started taking classes. So there was already a special connection right there. You know, imagine somebody telling you, no, you have to do it because you're from Angola. This is what. I'm sorry, I gotta. This is what. This is what you guys gave us, so you have to continue. This is what I was being told. Anyway, I started capoeira with this. I didn't even know how famous the master was. He was huge. We were just young people taking classes. We were happy that we were learning something new, something different, and we were learning not just capoeira, but the whole cultural aspect of Brazil. And yeah, and it was very exciting to be an Angolan right there. And it was like the right moment. You know, if you want you can only say that those the ancestors called me at the right time. That was it. I was there at the right moment. If I had never left Portugal, because from Angola we left Angola to Portugal, and then a couple of years we went to the States. It would never happen. I would never find Capoeira Angola. So it's a very special call, I would say. Origins. Now, origins. This is what we are being taught. This is what history in principle says, that Capoeira was some of them say it was invented by the enslaved Africans in Brazil to defend themselves. Others say, and I actually prefer the second one, that this philosophy, this fight and dance was already inside those people. They already had it, and in Brazil it became something different. You had to adapt. It's you know, if when we talk about physical aspects of a human being, it's more or less the same as the oral aspect. You have to do something to fit in sometimes. And what we have now is several styles. But before that, there was a lot of people rejecting the idea that capoeira was an African thing or had African origins. This was very strong, even in the 90s. You know, I still run into masters, mostly white, not all, mostly white, saying that no, capoeira is pure Brazilian. What is pure Brazilian? I mean, what is pure Brazilian? Sure, the blues is African American culture, but you guys know exactly the origins. Where does it come from?
Mm-hmm.
You know, so capoeira is definitely of African origin, Bantu origins for sure. This is where you find most of those dance-like expressions. And yeah, we have the book saying that, yeah, first they started practicing, then the music came later on because this and that. The reality is that in every aspect of our culture, we find music.
Mm-hmm.
Even wrestling, Nigerian wrestling, whatever, Senegalese wrestling, you find music, people playing instruments. So it was always, to me, it's no miracle that music is part of capoeira movements, you know, and people are making a big deal out of it. Oh no, because they wanted the movements came before, the music came later on, the music came first, and then the movements. To me, it's very basic stuff. Africans, there's nothing that we don't do without music.
Yeah.
People are born, we play music. When people die, we play music.
Yeah. So if you look kind of just how many different ethnic groups in the borders of Angola as they are constructed today, how many different ethnic groups are within the borders of the country of Angola?
Yeah, my book name says that we have around 15 ethnic groups. Around 15 ethnic groups. The groups connected to capoeira is all people always connect capoeira when they talk to when they talk about Angola and Bantu culture or
Hmm.
Bantu culture in Angola. Um, Something amazing happened in the last 10, 15, 20 years. Dr. Fukiao shows up, and Dr. Fukiao makes this connection
Mm.
than ever. Um, his book, the Bantu, what's the name of the cosmology?
Yeah,
Cosmology.
let's go
Yeah,
ahead and talk. I'm pulling it off the shelf.
yeah, you have it.
Go ahead. I can't find it. It's right behind me.
Yeah, it's a great book, isn't it?
Yeah, with the Bantu cosmology.
Yeah, he helped a lot because African culture, even though was history was becoming very popular more and more, there were hardly anything about Bantu culture. So Dr. Foucault shows up with this wonderful book.
Hmm.
You guys devour it. You
Hmm.
guys, African Americans are the first ones to start really going after this book, and it was translated. I'm not even sure, was it translated? I don't know, but some Capoeira Angola groups started making that link as well, and he helped a lot. He brought us more knowledge of African aspects of fighting and dancing and things like that. Um, so going back to the ethnic groups, we find uh, fights and dances close that look like capoeira mostly in the center and the south of the country.
Hmm.
But it's very difficult to say that okay, this is where it comes from because it could as well have influences from northern Angola, which is the Congo people land
Got
mostly.
it. Okay.
But the reality is that um, it seems like there's a mixture of things.
Which would
Of,
make sense.
yeah, of Bantu things. There's a mixture
Mhm.
of Bantu things, which make a lot of sense. But it's important that people understand that Dr. Fukiao's book about Congo cosmology is talking about Congo cosmology.
I think it might be upstairs. I'm trying to find the book. I think it's upstairs. Go ahead. I'll put the name of the book in the chat. Go ahead.
Not all Bantu people have the same cosmology. So a lot of people assume that all you have to do is study Congo cosmology, and
Mhm.
you basically
And that's it. Yeah.
everything about the huge Bantu family tree, which is more than 300 ethnic groups.
Right.
Even within Angola, some cosmologies are pretty much the same as the Congo, which makes sense because some of them are descended of or came out of the Congo Foundation, stuff like that. But not all. We have different cosmologies. But anyway, Dr. Fukiao's research made capoeira more, made it more interesting and richer.
Mm.
Because now we weren't just talking about Brazil. Now we're talking about Africa and showing exactly, you know, and talking about the philosophy behind fights and things like that. Um, it's still very, very important for some Brazilians to say, no, capoeira is not from Africa. It's strictly Brazilian. There's no such thing as strictly Brazil. There is maybe the natives. But, I remember a friend of mine told me from Angola. guy is teaching now in Angola.
Mm-hmm.
That a master from Brazil in Holland was talking to him and said, "Listen, how do you call this instrument, which is the berimbau? You know,
The yeah, the long.
yeah, pure Bantu instrument, pure Bantu instrument." Um, so the Brazilian master asked the guy from Angola, "What do you call this instrument?" The guy, I mean, we have we have different names because we have different languages.
Mm-hmm.
Um, he said, "Same as you guys call it. What? Berimbau?" He said, "No, gunga." You know, the we have in capoeira, traditional capoeira, we use three berimbaus.
I didn't
Each,
know that.
yeah, each has a responsibility. So the gunga berimbau is the boom boom, the bass berimbau, and it's
Mm-hmm.
also the one that stays in the hand of the person responsible for just about what's going on, or for all belong to the master, the teacher, the master. He's responsible for that gunga. That's the name of the berimbau in Brazil. There's no such thing as gunga berimbau in Angola. But here comes the connection. The connection. Gunga means bell.
Got it.
So when you have the bell, you are responsible for certain, you
Mm-hmm.
begin, you start, and you end a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
So this is very important to us. So the Angolan guy responded that it's the same thing. It's not the same thing. He just didn't want to explain the whole thing. He said, no, we call it gunga as well, berimbau gunga. The Brazilian master said, well, we're going to have to change it. They have to change it Brazil because he believes that capoeira has nothing to do with Africa, and whatever is African, they need to get rid of it. They need to. Very racist mentality, huh?
Yeah.
Very racist mentality. But
I think it's interesting that that's kind of the mentality of, but it's consistent with cultural appropriation. Let's take something from somebody else's culture, and then we're going to try to strip it of everything that tells you that it's connected to African culture.
yeah, yeah, and it's not just the white saying. The white, it's sure, it comes out of this of racism and the spice and hate for African culture and African people, but
Mhm.
it's reproduced by everybody else. And Brazil being a very mixed society, it's just gonna go on. So you will find as well mixed people and black people very aggressive towards the idea that capoeira comes or origins are from Africa. It's crazy, but that's the truth. Well, he started started in Sanzalas. Sanzalas is apparently their slave headquarters, right? Where the people used to stay, live, and stay. All in one small room, whatever they call it, Sanzala.
Mhm.
Uh, Sanzala is a Bantu word from Angola. It's actually Senza. They call it Senzala in Brazil.
Sincerely.
S-E, but it's originally Sanzala, S-A. It's a Kimbundu word. Kimbundu is a language from Luanda. It's Queen Zinga's language.
Mhm.
Uh, Sanzala is originally an African village. It means African village, but in Brazil it became the the uh, uh, the, the headquarters or the place where enslaved people used to live.
Mhm. Wow.
They say that it started there, and it's kind of strange. I mean, you're enslaved, you're somebody's property,
Mhm.
and it's not easy to start to come up with something out of nowhere that is so dangerous to be prohibited.
Okay. Can you talk a little bit about the role of the music um, in the whole process of the movements? Like, how are the two things connected? Well, I mean, actually, let me back that up. I know how, if you're a person of African descent, you know how music is to movement. So that's not what I mean. But I'm curious, like, what role does it play? Like, if you were defending yourself when someone attacked you and you didn't have, an orchestra next to you. You didn't have somebody would have been in bow. Like, I'm assuming you still be able to defend yourself. So what role,
Yeah.
what's the importance of the music?
Um, I could just say, like a lot of people, that music is to keep the rhythm, but we Africans and we don't just see it that way. There is a spiritual communication
Mm,
to people through the music, to the people practicing through the music. Not only a spiritual communication, but there are words within the songs that are communicating with you.
got it.
They are praising. That's like I said. There's nothing that we do without music.
Mm-hmm.
So we are praising the old masters. We are praising people in the community. We are praising our parents. We're praising our brothers. We're praising everything. So there is a very strong connection, spiritual connection, social all the time, all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Thinking about what's going on is very important. Um, Not just having a mentality that music's just there to keep us dancing or whatever. We have to, when you practice capoeira, little by little, you will understand the difference between playing with somebody and using it as a fight. There are things that eventually you don't do when you are playing, and the same thing applies to when you are fighting or when you're very defending somebody. Um, there are modern styles that could be called more aggressive because they seem to give it all away, and traditional style avoids giving it all away.
Got it.
Yeah, music is not just there because we keeps it dancing or whatever. There is a spiritual connection, and there's a message. There are messages through music and history. Yeah.
Okay. So here we go. Just jump off the deep end because I didn't even know that. I don't know why Spirit told me to ask that question. So what I'm hearing in my non-capoeira practicing mind is you're invoking the ancestors, you're invoking old masters, so you're invoking people from the ancestral history. And when you are doing that and you're saying the words and the music, then it takes you to another realm and puts you in a trance.
Um, we always play. Everybody plays capoeira because cunning is a very serious part of capoeira. We always doing it. It's our culture, even
Mm,
positive or negative. It's always there, you know. I don't see cunning as something negative at all. It depends, you know. We can use it in different ways. Um, but yeah, the trance is also part of our culture. It happens. It has happened to me before, but for some people, they are they have a stronger connection to African spirituality. Could be a much stronger. Um, um, it could be a much stronger connection. I've seen happen.
mhm,
In Brazil, it happens a lot, which is actually normal. You know,
mhm.
such thing as songs and rhythms that could take you to a different stage, a different. Uh, can I say word? I don't think so. I don't think it fits here.
So I said realm. Um,
Yeah, realm.
that's the because what I'm hearing you describe is basically what they're doing, what you're doing with the music and the song is invoking the realm of the ancestors when people
Yeah,
are transitioning through trance to this
yeah,
other spiritual world.
yeah.
And I didn't know that until you just said that.
There are songs that people avoid singing because of that. Because sometimes
Wow.
people think it's not the right time to have that spiritual connection that we call trance, right?
Mm.
What's the best way to describe trance? Spiritual connection, spiritual journey. What? Yeah,
Spi- I think either one, spiritual connection. I hear so somebody just made a comment. Susan said she called it transcendence. Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
so yeah,
yeah,
having a spiritual connection because just the way that you're describing that, if you're invoking ancestors, and we know that music and words can take you into a trance state, then those two things, the movement, the words, and the music, and the invocation of the ancestors, opens a whole other realm.
yeah. My master, for example, he follows Yoruba
Mhm.
spirituality. Candomblé Nago, right? Yoruba Nago,
Mhm.
Brazil. Candomblé Yoruba Nago, because not all Yoruba spirituality is Candomblé. We
Right.
have to.
That's more of a specifically a Brazilian thing. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Some people get lost in that, but
Hmm.
there are some Yoruba spirituality that have nothing to do with Candomblé. I mean, they're
Yeah.
a whole different. But anyway, he is part of the Candomblé Nago or Yoruba Nago world,
Hmm.
and he's very strict about songs. Just there are songs that you're not supposed to sing because they bring a whole different vibe to the moment that people are playing. So in many cases, he just stops. He makes us stop. He says, "Don't sing that song. Not allowed to sing the song. This is not the right moment to sing the song." And that was when you're young. You're like, "Oh my God, please come on. We just want to play. We just want to sing everything." But now you look back and it's like, "Wow, it's
Hmm.
actually you know." And it should be like it should always be like that. He's a person not just connected to African spirituality, but he's much older than we are, and he has a little more experience that is teaching us something very important that after that should go on looking for more information. It shouldn't be what came out of his teaching should not be limited.
Right. Well, and I think about that in terms of many different things. I've been in a yoga class and had a transcendent experience. And so when you exercise, when you're in African dance class, I've never been a drummer, but with drumming, I mean, there are so many ways. I'm sure you run all the time. So I'm sure you must probably get that runner's high because I know you run all the time. So there are all these different ways that can take people into trance states. And for me, one of the things that I get concerned about as people of African descent is that we, from our Western worldview, we dismiss things like trance states. We just like, oh, that's not real, and we don't take that seriously. But there can be an impact to that. So that's why we say, like, there's certain songs you shouldn't necessarily be singing. I mean, and we know that from, like, if someone grew up in the church, they know that. But I think we just kind of will dismiss that sometimes.
Yeah, the trans thing is very interesting because you basically find it in every culture,
Hmm.
even though it's greatly denied by many Christian cultures, Islamic cultures. You find it. You
Hmm.
know, I sent you a video a while ago of northern African spirituality amongst descendants of Afro Moroccan and Algerians. Is very.
Hmm.
It doesn't mean that society respects it, because society is apparent. So yeah, there's this the thing with spirituality is that it might take some time for you to understand what's going on.
Hmm.
Or that you look back, then you realize, wait a second, I was actually more spiritual than I am now. Um, the sound of the music is like even before you go into the into before you start playing or before you become part of that of the group or during a class, you're just walking up and you hear the music and you already feel like you're gonna go to another stage, and that
Hmm.
was healing part. Many of us started seriously training because it was our church,
Mm.
you know. Going Sunday mornings, staying there half of the day on Sundays to play with other people, training regularly. Um, all the problems that people usually have and all the stress, that's where we used to go to get away from it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Imagine being socializing with people and being part of an academy for 30 years, 20 years, 30 years. It's a long time. I mean, I left New York in 2000. I left New York before, yeah, around 2000,
Mm-hmm.
in 2001. So I was teaching, I started teaching a long time ago, but I was teaching at my master's academy. I started my group in 2001, 2002 in Holland.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I don't, I want to make sure that people know that I am the first Angolan to teach Capoeira Angola. I'm the first Angolan to teach Capoeira Angola. I'm not talking about the old Africans that
Mm-hmm.
taught after this, it's all different.
You're talking
Um,
about contemporary times.
yeah, yeah, I am the first. I am the oldest Capoeira Angola player from Angola. I'm the oldest. I haven't been teaching a couple of years now because I had a problem. I had a tendonitis, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Problem. Yeah, as you know, I'm a writer, and I just got too excited, and I was already always in front of the computer and wasn't doing the exercise I was supposed to after right after typing and stuff. Anyway, there are now, as far as I know, two teachers from Angola and in Angola. I know both of them, and
Mm-hmm.
one trained would be in Holland.
And they both live in Angola now?
They went back. One, yeah, I know both of them, but one of them trained with me in Holland. He was working in Holland. In Holland, that's how we met.
Mm-hmm.
So back there, and I went to see the group early 2000, right before the pandemic, and it was wonderful. It was great. It was great. It's like a dream because when I started, when I was young, my dream was to take Capoeira Angola back to Angola. That, that was my all my inspiration and dream. Um, Things changed eventually,
Uh-huh.
uh, and Capoeira is still very important to me, but it's not the first thing anymore. So
Mm-hmm.
I did some things in life and then go back to Capoeira slowly and surely. But it was amazing to go back to Africa and see Capoeira Angola being played by Africans. It's amazing. It's a whole different energy. I mean, it's a whole different spiritual journey there. It's whole different.
I'm excited about that. I mean, particularly because as you're telling your story, one, I'm thinking about the mental health aspects. So, just the identity piece. So, you're Angolan living in New York, and it takes you going from living in Portugal, living in Angola, to
Holland,
going to the,
Holland.
you gotta go to New York for someone to say, "Hey, this is your culture. Like, you need to learn this."
Yeah, yeah,
That is amazing. And,
definitely. The master is still there.
mm,
Like I said, he was born in 1933. How old is he if he was born in 1933? He's 85.
I was just gonna cheat and get the calculator out. Perhaps, yeah. Let me see, 1933,
Yeah,
88.
88. He's gonna be, yeah, January. He's born. He was born the same day as Martin Luther King. Same day as Martin Luther King.
Oh, January 15th.
Yeah, so he's gonna be 88 next year, right?
Oh, yeah. Well, no, 89 next year. He's 88 right now.
Oh wow.
So he's almost 90.
Yeah, imagine he went to Angola he's been teaching capoeira Angola for years, what 50 years, something like that.
Mhm.
But he went to Angola for the first time in January 2020. That's very special, you
Oh,
know. And
yeah.
he always said that before he died, he wanted to visit Angola because he was teaching capoeira Angola, and a lot of songs are talking about the beauty of Angola and how he would like to go back to Angola. These are songs that we sing in capoeira Angola. and then all of a sudden, he went to Angola, and I went as well, but I had my new book and a book of names of
Mhm.
Angola names. So I went to release the book and stuff, and we met for the first time, a group of Ngolo dancers. Now, what is Ngolo? Ngolo it is said now to be the origins of Capoeira Angola, and it's practiced somewhere near the center to the south of Angola.
Mhm.
Not too many masters left. Life changes, you know.
Mm.
We had the Nyaneka people from Nyanek is an ethnic group,
Okay.
um, and they practice Ngolo. There's a documentary made by a Brazilian master, Cobra Master. I don't know if you heard of it.
Mm-mm.
Uh, that made that connection. He went to Angola. He went to these communities, you know,
Oh,
and
wow.
he interviewed the masters and stuff. So I mean, they're really far. I mean, it takes them hours and hours to get to the capital of Luanda. But it was wonderful to see them. It's funny to be around Angolans that don't speak Portuguese because people think that everybody speaks Portuguese in Angola.
That's what I would assume, but okay. Yeah.
No, they don't. Most of them, five five masters went. Most of them didn't speak any Portuguese. They can understand a little, but they don't speak Portuguese. It's wonderful. I was very happy to be around. I remember my grandmother. She understood, but she didn't really speak very much.
Mhm.
And it was hard because we weren't being taught our own language. So
Mhm.
imagine your grandparents. They're supposed to pass on all the knowledge.
Mhm.
They don't speak a language that you speak.
Wow.
Yeah, you don't speak a language that they speak. And it's all a plan from a colonialist society, you know. Um,
But look at the power in that. So okay, so you see these disruptions, right? So this disruption in terms of language, culture, identity. You always tell me like these same things. The impact of colonialism is the same impact, similar impact as we had as people of African descent living in the U.S. At the same time, with all that effort to try to destroy stuff, then Capoeira goes back to Angola. This attempt to destroy stuff. I mean, I just think that's the power of the ancestors. Like, no matter what they do, no matter what harm they try to create, destruction in terms of when I say they, I'm talking about the systems of capitalism and systems of colonialism. Um, it doesn't erase these cultural pieces that stay alive.
yeah, the first Capoeira Angola group in Africa um, was in Mozambique before these two Angolan guys went back to Angola.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody had a group in Mozambique
Ah,
a couple of years ago, and with kids. And there were some videos on YouTube with these kids not only playing capoeira but playing music, playing instruments, and people were all amazed. It comes so natural to African people. It's amazing. It's amazing. I was very shocked and very happy that children love capoeira Angola and Angola.
I love it. Okay, so now let's shift to something else. So when we were putting this together and we came up with the flyer and I sent it to you, the initial flyer, but I don't know if you remember the initial picture. You're like, those aren't capoeira moves.
Yeah, people always make that mistake.
Like everybody, I think if somebody's hands are on the ground and some legs are moving, then there's this assumption. So I know there's a lot of commercialization. That was my whole point. There's a lot of commercialization and this idea of trying to make capoeira flashy. And so I'm wondering your thoughts about that, particularly. Have you ever seen the movie? I don't remember the Portuguese title in English. It's a Brazilian movie, but it's called The Assailant.
No, I remember there was a Hollywood movie, Only the Strong. They had capoeira and
I'm gonna find it. The Assailant. Like this is a new movie. I'm gonna find the Portuguese translation because you might have seen it. It was supposed to be about a capoeira, a guy that practiced capoeira. He wasn't necessarily a master. I don't think he was teaching anybody else. But I wanted your take on that.
wait. A couple of years ago, it came. Yeah, there was a Brazilian movie about this Besouro, I think Besouro.
Bizarro. Yes, that's the movie. That's the movie. What did you think of that?
Yeah, Besouro. I haven't. I can't remember anymore. Because I was a little disappointed at the historical facts of it.
Hmm.
Um, guy existed. This
Yeah,
Besouro.
yeah. It was supposed to be like a historical movie, drama, or
There was, and then you know it is when you become popular, then people start making up a lot of stuff about. So I don't remember the movie very well, and I know
okay.
that I wasn't very happy. But yeah, the guy existed. He was very popular. A lot of stories about him. It's good that they made a movie.
Okay.
A, a lot of people got pumped up. A lot of people were happy. Hey, Capoeira's got a new movie and stuff.
Hmm.
I'm always into historic aspects of things, but I believe that it's important to make those kind of movies. Also, in the 80s, I think it was 80s, there was a movie about Quilombo.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
that's what Alethea just put that in there. She put Quilombo. Yeah.
Yeah, there's some capoeira in the Quilombo because it's about the Quilombo dos Palmares, the
Hmm.
independent
Hmm.
Quilombo Brazil. But here's the mess because we talked about this before.
Oh yeah, you and I talked about him. Cause what was
Now,
his name? Zumbi? What was his name?
Zumbi, yeah, Zumbi. We say Zumbi, Zumbi dos
Hmm.
Palmares. Now here's the thing. We talked about the spirituality.
Hmm.
But when Yoruba, there is this a lot of people that practice capoeira have this relationship with candomblé,
Hmm.
which I think is pretty normal, especially if you're Brazilian,
Hmm.
and especially if a black Brazilian.
Hmm.
We know, and there's no argument. We know that capoeira is of Bantu origin.
Yeah.
We also know, well, not all eventually, that the quilombo, the word quilombo is a Bantu word. Zumbi is a Bantu word, and that during the quilombo, the Zumbi's quilombo, there were hardly any. There weren't Yorubas in Brazil. The Yorubas came in masses later on, like
Hmm.
100 to 200 years afterwards. But we're talking about black people from Brazil, so they have a culture. It's normal that Bantu culture will mix up with the rest of the other cultures from Ghana, from Nigeria. We are these are countries that didn't really exist back then, but you know what I mean, right?
Hmm.
Uh, so it's normal that the Bantu people that were in Brazil back then, the Bakongo, the Ovimbundu, the Ambundu or Kimbundu, um, and some from Mozambique started had a connection with the other Africans that came later on. But the reality is that in the movie makes a terrible mistake because they speak Yoruba sometimes. And so it's like, oh my God, what's going on here? But you want
I didn't know you were gonna go there with that. I didn't know you were gonna say that part. I thought you were gonna say something else that was problematic about Zumbi. But yeah.
no, this is drastic when you know the history. Like, what's going on here? Why is Zumbi speaking Yoruba? I mean, even his name has nothing to do with Yoruba, with the Yoruba language. It's like you watching a movie about Native Americans in the States, and the king is called Carlos, and he never had any contact with Spanish speaking people. It's kind of, why is your name Carlos? Um, yeah, yeah, those small but important details, and I only noticed by people that have been following history. When I
Hmm.
started talking about it, a lot of people like, listen, I don't know what you're talking about. Brazilians didn't even like it, but they thought that I was lying. Like, but what do you mean? We are Yoruba. We are mostly Yoruba. I said, yeah, a lot of you guys are descended Yoruba, but before the Yorubas, there already a Bantu culture in Brazil. This. You have like more than close to 200 Bantu words in Brazil, and the Yoruba words are limited to this to the religious aspects.
I wonder how much I noticed this, and we don't have to get into this because that's not the topic for today. We could have a whole other conversation about this. There is a tension, if you will, um, between, yes, the Yoruba are, in terms of the language, in terms of the dominance in was it Tijeros, in terms of among candomblé practitioners, Yoruba lines are very popular, where Bantu line, there becomes tension, almost like class tension that I noticed, and I wasn't fully sure what was happening there. So I wonder
Uh,
how much that is playing, that is showing up.
I wouldn't say tension,
Hmm.
uh, and I wouldn't want to get into that so much. But
Okay, we'll leave it alone.
I would say that the system, which is a racist system, um, uses this racist idea in Brazil of superiority within Africans.
Hmm.
Some are more intelligent than others
Hmm.
because, and in Brazil, academically, the idea that people from West Africa are more intelligent than people from Southern Africa. Uh, um, yeah, I mean,
Hmm.
among some of them are more intelligent than others. Intelligent than others. That's the racist idea.
Hmm.
Uh, and a lot of Brazilians followed it, but it's pushed by the academic world, by a bunch of racist sociologists that study in France and
Got
whatnot.
it.
Yeah, so they brought all those racist ideologies from Europe, actually.
Got it. Okay.
And
Yeah, and we don't have to go further in that. I
he,
noticed that something was happening there, and I didn't understand it because I don't speak the language.
the idea that well, yeah, those black people in America are more successful because they were more intelligent naturally than the blacks we got. This is the mentality that you have in many countries in African diaspora. I remember meeting a Cuban guy telling me that they got the worst blacks. He was telling me that they got the worst blacks intellectually. Intellectually saying there are some blacks. There are places in Africa where black people are a little more intelligent. They're not naturally more intelligent. So he believes that apparently Afro-Cubans don't have a very strong economical expression because they're not intelligent. That's BS.
That's just some crazy racism. Okay, we have a few more minutes. I want to kind of take us back to Capoeira and thinking about, like, if people were interested, like me, supposedly, if I was interested in Capoeira and I wanted to think about it from kind of the mental health aspects and taking care of myself, how would I get started in identifying a teacher?
I think well, my connection was right there anyway. Choosing between a young, um, arrogant Israeli guy in New York, you know,
Hmm.
uh, uh, from it's picking a black man, an old black man, it's a whole two different things. The historical aspect is very important, and also nowadays people have to be very careful because capoeira became extremely popular,
Hmm.
and so popular that lately we've been having a lot of there was this scandal. This huge group from Israel, actually from Brazil, that exploded in Israel. These guys, in Israel, capoeira is very popular. They have more than I said 50, but I think they have close to 100 people teaching, and it's a small country.
Wow.
This group, the masters of this group is Europeans these are white people from Brazil. They started, I think, around the 70s, 80s, whatever. They became super popular. Lots of groups open up. I'm sure they made a lot of money. I'm sure, I don't know. But they're being accused of sexual abuse. It's a big scandal because it was on TV. People got arrested. Um, and now we're talking a little more about it.
Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden, capoeira is being connected to sexual abuse. It's
Oh.
it, it's well, the thing is that we saw a lot of things happen, and we kept it quiet. So we are all kind of guilty.
Mm-hmm.
So and so did that. Oh well, let's. I hope they resolve it. A lot of women are coming up, which is good.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think it's gonna. I think it's for the better. I think it's for the better. We have to watch out for that. You know, you gotta. We're gonna take your kids to a capoeira. Well, for any martial arts, you have to study. You have to find out. You have to do some research about the academy and the teacher,
Mm-hmm.
not just capoeira. Um, I wish that every black person would take their children to a Capoeira Angola class. But yeah, you gotta do a little. You gotta do your research. You don't just Capoeira has different styles, and within the styles we have different levels of spirituality. To me, more modern Capoeira is the less spirituality is. You know,
Oh, that's
um,
like yoga. That sounds
yoga.
like yoga.
Oh
Yeah, like the same thing, like the more that like people just do it for exercise, they totally strip all of the Eastern culture and teachings and spirituality, all that gets stripped away and you just doing asanas, just doing positions.
yeah,
So it's like
yeah. Yeah. There are people uh, that go into capoeira just to sweat, to exercise. Uh,
mm,
I wouldn't say all black people go into capoeira because it's a spiritual journey, but we know that most people that go into capoeira just to sweat are not of African origin. We know this. Um, I've lost I've lost a couple of friends within capoeira.
mm,
So we're talking about the healing part.
mm-hmm,
It's very important um, that we try to make a connection, a spiritual connection to this to the art,
mm-hmm,
because it's something that takes a long time for us to learn.
mm.
I've been around since the 98, 94. It's a long time.
Yeah,
Uh, but still, compared to my master, he started in his 20s and he's close to 90. You know.
yeah.
And he's when you talk to him, he said he's still saying, "I'm still learning, I'm still learning." And you're like, what else do you have to learn? Maybe he's talking about all other aspects of life, not just capoeira. Yeah, there is the spiritual connection is very important. It has to be real. You have to ask yourself, why am I here? Am I here to heal? Am I here to feel better? It's a social place, a place full of people, many with problems, and you wanna keep a safe environment. You
Yeah.
want inspiration. You want to be a brother. You want to be a sister, and it doesn't happen all the time. And if when you're a woman, it's not easy. You gotta. We have to be a little better. I'm speaking as a teacher now.
Mm-hmm.
Not. I'm speaking. We have to be a little better. We have to pay more attention to certain things that have been going on within capoeira. And yeah, let's ask ourselves if why are we doing? What are we doing in those places? Are we just there to sweat, or we are trying to build a better relationship, connection with our ancestors? We want to feel a little better, and are we trying to build a family? If we are trying to build, if we are interested in building a family, then we definitely have to be a little more careful. That's
Got
my
it.
to the new capoeira player.
Thank you. My brother Kandimba, he is in Seychelles.
Seychelles, yeah, Seychelles
Seychelles.
is where this where they made the ships to go to Africa.
Really? Okay. Did not know that. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today.
Thank you very much.
All right. We will talk again soon. Take care.